Great Convos Season 5 is here, and we're coming in strong.
Woo! Hello, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome once again to Great Convos, where we always say, whether you agree or disagree, you can always find great convos. Man, it feels good. I'm Roger Caesar, and that gentleman over there.
Hi, Roger. I'm Alexandre Matt. Yes, it does feel good. Did you just hear me say we're coming in strong for Season 5? And what are we doing now? We're going out strong. This is the last episode of Season 5, Roger.
Oh, it feels like it just flew by, my friend. First of all, let's say hello to all of our loyal listeners. Please put in the chat, say hello. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate it very much. And Alex, I want to also say publicly, Happy Father's Day to you, my friend. Right?
Thank you so much.
Everyone. Thank you. And to everyone who is here, Happy Father's Day to you, and anyone who actually has to play the role of being a father. Happy Father's Day. We appreciate you. We salute you for the responsibilities that you've taken on, including myself. And man, it feels good to be back. Feels so good, man.
Well said, Roger. Well said, Roger, and happy Father's Day to you as well.
Thank you, sir.
Check if you can put the microphone closer to you so that there will be less reverberation in your room. Now,
right.
As people are chiming in from where they are and what they're thinking and saying hi, hello to everybody online. Now, today I saw that your title is the Move Guy, and mine was the Sit Guy today. We're the Move Guy and the Sit Guy. What does that even mean? I'm not even sure. We're going to find out. Roger is the kind of guy who's always on the move, not only literally when we see him on stage or in life. He's always moving all around. Hey, how you doing? He's like a social butterfly who goes all over. And I think, Roger, you agree? I try to be a little bit more like you, but in my nature, I'm more laid back. I sit.
You are more relaxed. You are cerebral. The way you walk the room is very slow, methodical.
My knee hurts. That's why I go slow. Now, we do have a special guest.
Yes.
We do have a special guest today to talk about this topic on movement and sitting. There is a saying that goes something like this: don't just sit there, move. And it's basically talking about health, how to stay healthy and to live longer. But it might be more than that. So today, to speak on this topic and more, we've got something very special. It's you saw her name already in the title. I had the pleasure of meeting her in person at the District 123 Toastmasters Conference. This was in Oshawa just last month, just outside of Toronto. And she was a delight on stage and off stage. It was such a pleasure to finally meet her. She's a dynamic speaker. She's a pharmacist, an advocate for wellness, and also the 2023 World Champion of Public Speaking. Please welcome Jocelyn Tyson.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Alexandre. And Roger, thank you so much for having me here. I wanted to just say it's been a whirlwind, but the fact that I get to meet you two, who I would attribute to me getting so much to that world stage, is because of the great presenters that you both are. Because trust me, I studied the material. I watched your videos methodically, and I feel as though, yes, this was the type of information that I was able to then use to build my speech. So thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you for allowing me to be.
We are so happy to have you here. This is amazing. I am getting a bit of reverb, ain't I? Sorry about that. We are so happy to have you here with us. It's been a pleasure. We've been wanting to get you on the show since you won in 2023. It has been a long time that we have been chasing you down, but we finally got you on the last episode of the season. Right, Alex?
That's right. Now, we were we've been chasing you for almost 2 years now to get you on this show. Speaking of chasing, now this is a seamless transition. Speaking of chasing, when you were on the world stage for the World Championship, you were chasing around on the stage because your speech, your story is about participating in a triathlon for the first time. So you were physically showing us as much as you could what that means on stage. So we're talking about don't just sit there and move. So the movement that you had on stage, was it purposeful for for effect?
Absolutely. I think that was the part that I wanted to make sure that I conveyed for the audience. I wanted you to be there with me. I was specific about how I rolled my sleeves up before and I did my blazer. I was specific how I wanted to wear flats because for some of us, heels, it takes some placement. So I didn't want anything to slow me down. And I realized from getting one end to the stage to the other would have been more of a challenge in a couple of heels. So I decided to go with flats. I wanted to be in the ability to move and do it seamlessly. So that way you were there with me because I felt triathlons, it's a lot of movement. It was a lot going on, especially during the swim, which was the biggest and the panic phase for me. I wanted that to be conveyed as best I could. So that's why I knew I tucked everything in. I had like a bow tie for my blouse. I tucked that in and tied everything in. And it was just like, all right, kids, let me take you there. And so for me, I hope that was, at least I believe that was conveyed in my speech movement.
Yes, and as you were speaking there, we see some images of you on stage, almost at a triathlon. Hey, was that a lot of work? Were you physically tired at the end of those 7 minutes?
Yes, I think because your mind, for me, I went back there. And I think that was the part, every time I got ready to tell that story, I knew I told it well if I could channel that energy and go back there. And then also there's nerves going on too. And when you're in front of that many people and the stage and the energy, it's just like, and I had to do this deep breathing to try to get you there to feel where I was at. So all of this movement, your heart rate's going, you're telling a story and you're seeing yourself back in the water. It was a full-fledged moment. And so by the end, I was exhausted at the end of that speech. It was 7 minutes, but it felt like, it felt like I was reliving that triathlon all over again in just a tight, condensed way. So absolutely.
Yeah, it really showed. I was telling Alex that it reminded me of the 2019 world champion, Aaron Beverly, and when he did his speech. Lots of movement on stage. Wasn't the conventional way of doing a Toastmaster speech, so to speak, but there it was in full glory, you two the same way, and it was very funny. And we could actually feel every portion of the triathlon while you were doing it. But my favorite, I've got to say it, my favorite had to be the one line. You're going the wrong way.
Well done, not only with the voice, but also with the use of the microphone by speaking away from it. These are very small techniques that make all the difference. It's all in the details.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, that was the best. That's the funny part. Every time I do honestly see that, I do laugh. I do laugh at myself because I remember it just like that.
You got a huge laugh at that time, didn't you? Inside in the room, didn't you?
Yes, and I wasn't expecting that. You know, you expect a little bit, and you practice for a little bit of feedback, but I never expected that much. And that's when I will admit to those that are thinking about doing contests, and especially when timing is of the essence, try to give yourself as much time in the end, and especially if it's humor, you have to really be careful because you will wind up. And I stepped on my joke, meaning that I didn't wait for them to finish. I couldn't. And I was worried that I would lose people because now I have to still speak and you're still laughing. So you may miss what I'm saying, but I had to take that chance because we know of situations where it doesn't matter how impactful your story is or how much you made them laugh. When you get to that point in time, it is it. So for me, I'd rather you miss a couple of my next sentences than for me to be disqualified. So
Right.
yeah, it's tough. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that big of a laugh at all.
Well, in 2023, you became the world champion. And immediately after, that winning speech went on YouTube. Toastmasters International published it. Up to now, has had 91,000 views. A lot of those views were right after the World Championship. I saw about 150 comments on that video, and most of them are congratulating you and thanking you for the message and all positive. There are some, especially right after the championship, that are negative. So I'm wondering, and this probably happens to anyone who puts themselves out there, who is put out there by someone. There will always be negative comments. So how do you deal with the negativity that you can receive online or offline if it happens?
Most of it is typically online.
Right.
I find that these things, people rarely, if never at all, will come into your face and tell you anything other than, oh, it was fine, or they say nothing, which is fine. But I find that people get really bold when they can hide behind screens. But I would say this is that you're not going to please everyone. And that is the reality of just life in and of itself. And how you handle criticism is you get the feedback from the trusted sources, and then you constructively build and work from there. And for those, it's just noise. And that's people being in their feelings or being upset or whatever, or feel as though they now need to put in their negative comments and negative things. Some people, that's all they do is troll just to put in hateful and mean things. And I think it's more a reflection of them than it really is of you. So take the negative as sometimes that's a part of life, and it won't be everyone, but take the positive and then just constructively move forward from there.
I love how you put that, Jocelyn, and it's so true. Like, there's going to be people who are just there specifically to do that, and there will be those who are the traditionalists that might not have seen or wanted to see the traditional way in which maybe a speech at the Toastmasters World Championship is supposed to be done in their minds. But I love how you, and again, I said it with Aaron Beverly, but I love how you stepped outside the box and you put together a speech that was so entertaining, so funny, and yet still had a great message at the end. And with that being said, now you're moving, as they say. Now you're moving from winning the World Championships and the next years now that have happened. How has things changed for you? What is it in terms of what we're here talking about today? Did you just keep moving, or did you have a moment to stay still and really soak it in? And where did you go from there?
For me, I tell people winning the World Championship was one of the best things that happened that I didn't know needed to happen for myself. It opened up so many doors in terms of the people and the connections, the Toastmasters that are now not only just across our country, but across our world. And you know about your district, which is the small little pocket or region that you're in, but then it starts to expand to something so much bigger, and showing the beauty even of that and the people and the differences, but yet still coming together on building and uplifting and being about community and speaking. I think it's been a great experience. I've sat back a little bit and reflected, but at the same time too, I've been moving in allowing myself to go to certain places and going to different countries and welcoming the new district conferences and seeing so much about that. And now it's hitting different because it's like, wow, this is such an experience. I think I was in a small little bubble before, but it's now expanded into something so much bigger. I just didn't even imagine. It's been great.
So you've been able to stop and reflect a little bit. Now let's go wider, because when we say don't just sit there, move. Usually it's about wellness, right? And you're a wellness advocate, so for you it's important for to be physically active. But does it translate also in, generally speaking, is it when do you decide when you need to move to further your career or your personal life, and when is it best to just sit and reflect?
Absolutely. I think I know for me, I tell myself this past decade, because I was in my 20s, I was moving and shaking. And then when I hit my 30s, all of a sudden it seemed like things started slowing down. I got into a job, I got complacent. I sat and I was not moving up or elevating. I wasn't doing the big moving shakings. And I was sitting there figuratively just sitting in this space and not moving. And I think that for me was when you have that moment of you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, that you're tired of like, why am I not getting the level? And I think it's when you sit back and start to do your reflection. Are you happy where you are, or is there something that you feel pulling you in a different direction? And so for me, I saw myself being pulled in some other direction. And if you feel that, lean into that. That's when you know you need to move. That's when you know you need to step up for yourself sometimes. And that there is no perfect time to do it. So just do it, so to speak, that kind of thing where you sit back and go, all right, you may never be ready, but move. And whatever you do, it'll work itself out. It'll get balanced out some kind of way. And I think that's when when it's not settling, when you're not feeling content in a spot and you feel that little thing keep pushing at you, like, we're not done yet. Come on. There's something more. Then I say lean into it. Yeah.
It sounds like you know when to move when you are sitting still. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yes. Don't just move. Sit there.
Yeah, this is good advice for everyone. I'm sure. Look, I'll even say it myself. There are times when, even though, as Alex has said, I'm pretty much a moving piece. I'm always moving. I'm always doing something. But there are times when I need to slow down. I gotta look around me, see what it is that's going on, how I can change, how I can get better, how I can increase the things that I'm doing to make myself and put myself in a better position. Oftentimes, people like myself, and I'll say it flat out, we don't know how to do that. So if there was a piece of advice that you could say to somebody to say, look, here's what you need to start trying to do to take that moment to slow down. My brain is always like, okay, I got to do something. I can't sit still. What would you say in that sense?
I would say project where you want to be and I often do this one, have reflections with someone that you trust or other people around you. Have a few that sit back and then can help you map some things out for yourself. And they can often open your eyes to how you should step back. And maybe I need to go a little faster or maybe a little slower. And sometimes you can do it this even with yourself, but say you sit down and write it out, sit down and look at it on a global aspect, a bigger picture, broader, and have that conversation with yourself or a trusted person or mentor, or how you would be able to sit back and go, okay, what do I want to be? What do I see for myself? And what are the steps that I need to get there? And then reflect as to, let me do one at a time, or let me just think about where I need to go and placement. Because there is something in that planning process. There's something in that, we say that seed, right? There's always, you want to get the harvest. We want to get to the harvest. I want to get to the harvest. But there has to be that seed sowing time, that time where you're sitting there, now you're planning and how you need to do, what's the next step, how does the water cycle needs to go, what's the type of soil I need to put this in, what am I actually even trying to harvest? So I think that there's moments and seasonalities when it comes down to taking those actions as well as planning.
I like the gardening metaphors, but let's be more concrete here, Jocelyn.
Sure.
So have you find yourself moving when you should have been not moving, when you should have just sat there?
It can happen. Yeah.
When did it happen?
When did it happen? Well, let's think about myself. Let me think about a specific time I know.
Alex always comes with the hard questions.
I know. Right?
We're having a fine time. We're having a fine time here, and he's gotta hit you with something.
And I'm trying to think of what specifically happened in my life where I saw myself fail And I should have took more time in to get myself together. Honestly, I feel like it wasn't really the triathlon, if you be completely honest. I thought I was ready. I should have spent more time in that lake, spending time on the swim. I should have spent more time trying to get myself together a little bit more. I should have been planning a little bit longer. And then instead of just jumping out there into almost 18 feet, if not more, of water, and I was not ready. And then what happens? You struggle through. And you sit back and go, what could I have done? I could have had more time in my planning phase. I could have more time in the preparation phase. And instead, I wouldn't have been out here struggling like I do. But then there is lessons even in the struggle. I think you had someone who said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, because I survived that. I have a lesson now in the struggle. I can tell others about that struggle, and I can now teach anyone else. Whoa. I know you think you're ready for that swim, but did you try it yet this way? Did you try it yet that way? Are you setting yourself up for the win? And that's how you can educate others based on your own failure, and not only just help yourself. So I think that there's so many things that we jump out and we get ready to do, and we're like, oh, I wish I had more time.
Right.
So I think there's so many, I feel like in my life that popped up, but I know that one specifically, since we're talking about essentially.
And you said what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. We can check out episode 2 of season 5 with First Ego Tuwaku. And the way he said it was, what doesn't kill you makes you grrr. Roger?
That was a good one.
Yeah. No. So we are now coming up on the time, and I still have one question that I wanted to ask you that goes a little bit back to your speech and everything like that. Number one, did you find that at the end of it all, when you've gone through this entire process, did you feel like you accomplished? And I know this sounds like I'm talking out of two sides right here, but I'm saying, did you feel that the journey that you took, all the steps that you took to get to that point, we all, as competitors, as speakers, when we get into this competition, we want to go all the way to the top and be able to be called world champion of public speaking. Now, the three of us here have pretty much, it's like first, second, third. We're right here. That we've done. But at the end of the day, do you feel like you did everything that you wanted to do? Was there any part of you that said, damn, this could have went a different way, and I wish I did this or that differently?
In terms of the process, in general?
Helping other people who are coming up, who want to, as we're in that season right now, where we have a lot of people who are waiting patiently for their name to be called for the regional, or the not the regional, so they call it, so the not the quarterfinals, the quarterfinals.
That's right. We are now in the quarterfinals, waiting for the results.
Waiting for the results. What would you say in that moment when you were waiting? How do you feel? Did you do anything that you wish that you could have did differently? Is there advice? I
don't think there was something that I could have done different in the process, because it worked out, and I felt as though I gave it my all every time I gave my speech. And I don't feel as though it may not have been perfectly executed every time I spoke, but I felt confident enough that that was the best I was going to be able to give in that moment, whenever I gave the speech, as it continued to go up. And the process that I was fortunate that I was able to reach out within my district, and going to the district and getting their feedback and working and toiling away to get this speech in the end that I was able to present. So I felt good and confident about the process by which I did that. And the advice I would give somebody is, again, if you're thinking about it, just go on and move. Don't just sit there in the idea of wanting to do a contest, because you never know. And for me, I didn't have some of the credentials. I didn't have the speaking credentials. I wasn't a coach. I hadn't been coached. I hadn't been in Toastmasters for very long. It was my second year that I went ahead and went for the contest, and it was my first contest. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I was worried about whether or not I had what it takes, but in the end, it's your story. It's your 5 to 7 minutes, and it's a story. They're not ranking you how long you've been a Toastmaster. They're not ranking you on, and honestly, on the subject itself. It's the delivery. It's what did you give your audience? What did you give the people who needed to hear it? What did you give the world? Because it's about reaching as many people as you can. So for me, I would give the advice of, you have a story. Don't be afraid to tell it. Don't be afraid to share.
Yeah, and it looked like you were really enjoying yourself out there. You weren't taking yourself seriously. And from your reaction when they handed you the trophy, when they named your name, you looked genuinely surprised. So it didn't look like you were there to, I really need that trophy. But you did what you needed to do to get your message across to that audience on that day. I love it.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, it was just there to have fun. At the end of the day, I think that's the part that I was able to, I hope, and that you said, I had fun. I wanted to just get out there and enjoy.
Any last words as we're about to wrap up? Any last words that you might want to say to our audience, anyone listening, about your journey, or any advice that pieces of advice that you'd like to give them from the world champion of public speaking?
The last piece of advice. It's funny. I would say, and I did I would say this.
We're gonna count that.
It's a quote by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, and it says, "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward." And I think of, you have to keep moving. And that's even in and of itself, move towards your goal, move towards something that's important to you. Just move. You'll be surprised what you can do. So yes.
Yeah, thank you. Alex, last thing before I close off.
Sure, I was attempting to paraphrase this very quickly. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. No matter what you do, move.
Yes.
Sometimes if you can't move at all, or if you need to not move at all, it's sometimes a good idea to just sit there. So depending on the situation, sometimes don't just sit there, move, but sometimes don't just move, sit there.
Mm-hmm. Well,
thank you so much,
that
Jocelyn.
that is all. Thank you so much, Jocelyn, for being here. It was well worth the wait to have you on the show. I think that our listeners and the comments that they've been saying throughout this entire conversation has shown that they've truly appreciated you being here as well. And to all our loyal listeners, thank you for being here. Continue the conversation wherever you may be. And as we always say here at Great Convos, whether you agree or disagree, you can always find Great Convos. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful week.
And a great summer. See you soon.
Yes.